This is Signals Atlas. We're here to map the hidden forces that shape our careers, why some people build rare skills and create massive value, while others don't. And today, we're digging into something that traps even the sharpest people out there, the execution trap. So, let's start with a puzzle, one you've probably thought about. Why is it that some of the most talented, hardest-working people we know just hit a wall? An invisible ceiling on what they can earn and the opportunities they get. Meanwhile, others, who might even be less skilled technically, seem to achieve these incredible levels of success. And look, this gap, it isn't about working harder or being smarter. It's about a hidden dynamic we're calling the execution trap. You know the story we're all told, right? To make more money, you just have to get better at your job, master your craft, become the go-to expert. But the market is sending a completely different signal, one that most people just don't hear. And it's this signal that separates a good income from life-changing wealth. Okay, so this slide really breaks down the core conflict. On one side, you've got technical skill. This is your ability to take instructions, a project plan, a client's request, and turn them into a great result. But on the other side, there's leverage. And this is a totally different game. This is the ability to take that same result and turn it into an asset, something that grows and compounds over time, like equity or brand or intellectual property. You see the difference? One is about doing the work. The other is about owning the result of that work. And this isn't some niche idea that only applies to, say, the tech world. No way. This is a pattern. It's like a law of market physics, and you see it show up again and again, whether you're a coder, a creative, or a strategist. Let's just look at a few clear examples. So first up, the engineer versus the founder. Picture a brilliant engineer who pours thousands of hours into building a flawless product. Their whole world is execution. But then you have the founder. Maybe they're not even the best coder on the team, but their focus is on one thing: ownership. They control the equity. So while the engineer gets paid for their time and skill, the founder captures the long-term value of the entire asset. And that's the key. The market just rewards controlling the asset far more than it rewards just building it. You see the exact same dynamic with creators and platforms. Think of a creator who obsesses for weeks to make the perfect, most insightful piece of content. Their focus is perfection. But the platform, YouTube, Substack, whatever it is, they're focused on distribution. They control the audience. The hard truth is, a perfect piece of content with zero reach has almost no economic value. The truly scarce resource here isn't quality, it's attention. And those who control the channels to that attention capture the value. And for our last pattern, think about this. You've got the internal specialist, a true master of their domain, but their incredible competence is pretty much hidden inside their organization. Then you've got the consultant. Their entire job is to take that same kind of competence and package it, making it highly visible to the entire market. That visibility, it turns a private skill into public value, and it just opens up this huge surface area for new opportunities to find you. Okay, so we've seen the signal, and we've seen the pattern play out. Now let's get into the why. What's the engine actually driving all of this? This isn't about luck, it's not about networking tricks. This is about the fundamental physics of how value is created and, more importantly, captured in the real world. The core concept here is asymmetric leverage, and this is the whole game. It's the ability to take a small input, an idea, a specific skill, a piece of code, and by controlling a critical part of the system, you generate a massive, totally disproportionate output. We're not talking about working 10 times harder for 10 times the pay. We're talking about positioning yourself to get 100 times the outcome from the same input. So where does this amazing leverage actually come from? Well, it boils down to the three things we just saw in those patterns. There's ownership, like the founder controlling the equity. There's distribution, like the platform controlling the audience. And there's visibility, like the consultant controlling their public reputation. These aren't just career goals, they are the actual mechanisms for creating those huge asymmetric outcomes. All right, so we know how the mechanism works, but what happens when you don't see it? What's the real cost of getting caught in this execution trap? This is where people run smack into what I call the competency ceiling. So who actually gets caught in this thing? As I go through these different types, just ask yourself if any of this sounds, well, a little too familiar. First, you've got the underpaid expert, who just assumes that because they're a master of their craft, the market should automatically reward them. Then there's the replaceable hard worker, essential to the project, but their diligence isn't ownable. You also see the under-leveraged generalist, who has tons of experience, but it's not packaged into a visible asset. And finally, the invisible perfectionist, whose brilliant work nobody ever gets to see. Now, the critical thing here is that this is almost never about a lack of intelligence or effort. It's about having your skills mispriced by the market. So if that's the trap, what's the way out? Well, the edge doesn't come from some new productivity hack or just working longer hours. It comes from a fundamental shift in how you see the world. It's all about adopting an ownership mindset. This quote right here just nails it. The market disproportionately rewards the person who controls the asset, the upside, and the residual value. Think about that. It's all about control. Who controls the thing itself? Who gets the profit when it succeeds? And who owns what's left over when all the work is done? This is the philosophy that separates the executor from the owner. And this is the core mental flip. Most professionals are constantly asking themselves, how can I do better work? The ownership mindset asks a much more powerful question. How can I own the outcome of my work? It's a subtle change in language, but it's a profound shift in orientation. It's the difference between being the best gear in the machine and actually having a stake in the machine itself. Now, the point of this wasn't to give you a 5-step plan. It was to give you a new lens to look at your own situation in the market. So to wrap this up, I want to leave you with 3 sharp questions to really reflect on. First, what do you truly own? I don't just mean your car. I mean assets. Do you have equity in a business? Do you own intellectual property? A client list that is yours and yours alone? Do you have final decision-making power over anything important? What is the asset that works for you when you're not actively working? Second, who sees your work? Who is your audience? And who controls your access to them? Is your best work hidden behind a corporate firewall, seen only by your direct manager? Or is it visible to your entire industry? What is your distribution channel? And finally, how known are you? And for what? Does your reputation and value exist only inside the walls of your current company? Or is it portable? If you were to leave your job tomorrow, what public value, what reputation follows you out the door? Answering these questions honestly, that's the first step out of the execution trap.